So the old legacy WNBA media did not think this was possible. They did not think this.
The Indiana Fever continued to make massive moves in free agency, signing Sophie Cunningham and DeWanna Bonner. And you guys, I don't even think they're done.
Not everyone in the WNBA is riding high these days. Some players have just struck it rich by joining a team with Caitlin Clark, leaving the rest of the league watching with envy.
So Caitlin Clark is now a member of the new Indiana Fever. Remember what they got the big five. They have five. The top 24 scorers in the WNBA last.
The Fever have crafted something extraordinary around Clark, blending seasoned veterans with up-and-coming stars who thrive alongside one of the best passers the sport has ever seen. While some doubted Indiana's ability to lure top talent, those skeptics were proven wrong. So why are players gravitating towards Indiana while others are left pondering missed opportunities? Let's dive into the details. This shift is a game changer for the WNBA.
So firstly, you guys, Sophie Cunningham was traded to the Indiana Fever for NaLyssa Smith and a pick. The Indiana Fever also acquired forward Jaylen Brown, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I am not familiar with her game. She is going to be only a second-year WNBA player, so we will have to see how her game translates to the Indiana Fever. But Sophie Cunningham was such a huge...
Caitlin Clark hasn't even played a single WNBA game yet, but she's already reshaping the league's landscape. When the Indiana Fever clinched the draft lottery, it wasn't just about snagging a future superstar, it was about transforming the franchise's entire identity. For years, Indiana was seen as a perennial underdog, struggling to define itself and attract marquee talent. Now, everything has changed, and the rest of the league is feeling the shift. The prevailing narrative was that Indiana couldn't possibly lure key free agents. Critics genuinely believed that seasoned veterans and emerging stars wouldn't be keen on joining forces with Caitlin Clark. They assumed she would falter without a solid supporting cast, citing Indiana's market, its history of losing seasons, and the so-called controversies surrounding Clark as deterrents. But here's the truth. Players are driven by the desire to win. In the competitive world of the WNBA, you recognize opportunity when it knocks. Caitlin Clark isn't just a talented player, she's a generational force who makes life easier for her teammates. She's the kind of athlete who gets everyone involved, elevates good players to greatness, and brings out the best in those around her. That's precisely why Natasha Howard decided to make the move to Indiana.
The news just dropped. DeWanna Bonner has been signed to the Indiana Fever. I'm about to knock my light over, bro.
That's why DeWanna Bonner was linked to the Fever, and why Sophie Cunningham ended up donning their jersey. Now, let's take a closer look at Natasha Howard. She's far from an ordinary free agent acquisition. She's a WNBA champion, a former Defensive Player of the Year, and a proven winner. With plenty of choices on the table, she opted for Indiana. And why wouldn't she? Playing alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is a dream come true. Clark spreads the floor, dishes out open looks, and consistently pushes the pace, while Boston commands attention in the paint as an interior powerhouse. In that dynamic, Howard flourishes. In Indiana, she'll enjoy easier scoring opportunities, more open shots, and the chance to contribute to something truly remarkable. When Howard inked her deal, the reactions were all over the map. Some in the WNBA media, especially those who rarely delve deep into the nuances of the game, acted as if her decision was nothing short of shocking. They clung to the outdated notion of the Fever as the same old underachieving team from a couple of years back. But the truth is, Indiana is no longer that franchise. They've set a clear vision, a star playmaker at the helm, a dominant post presence, and a coaching staff that knows how to build around such talent. It's this vision that's drawing players to Indiana and rendering the old idea that no one would sign there utterly ridiculous. Then there's Sophie Cunningham. The instant she was traded to Indiana, attention turned her way. Cunningham isn't merely a shooter. She's a gritty, high IQ competitor who excels in a system that values ball movement and purposeful play. She doesn't need to hog the ball to make an impact. Instead, she excels in off-ball movement, finding open spaces and delivering those critical extra passes, all essential skills when playing beside Caitlin Clark. And let's not overlook her defensive prowess and tenacious attitude. Cunningham's edge, her disruptive play, and her refusal to back down were exactly what Indiana needed. After all, you don't just want talent, you want mental toughness, battle-tested grit, and a willingness to fight every night. That's what sets this new Fever squad apart. It isn't just a collection of skilled players, it's a perfect fit. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Howard together form a lineup with clear identity, one that's poised to compete and catch the league's attention. The rest of the WNBA is taking notice. Teams that once dismissed Indiana are now quietly seething with envy as free agents actively choose Indiana. Those who doubted the impact of Caitlin Clark are starting to see that they miscalculated completely. Clark isn't simply bringing excitement to the court, she's fast-tracking Indiana's transformation into a legitimate contender. Players who once passed on Indiana are now left wondering if they made the wrong choice, because being in Indiana now looks like one of the best opportunities in the league. As the season approaches, the buzz is only intensifying. The WNBA is awakening to a new reality. The Indiana Fever aren't just rebuilding, they're ascending rapidly. And many around the league are starting to feel that intense envy, realizing that the very players who once scoffed at the idea of Indiana might now be regretting their decisions. The Fever have quietly assembled one of the most balanced, well-structured rosters in the league, and it's impossible for other teams not to take notice. For years, Indiana was a team you hardly feared, a mere stepping stone on the schedule, but those days are over. The way they've constructed their roster, the chemistry that's already forming, and the strategic additions they've made are forcing both players and executives across the league to sit up and take notice. Some in the media tried to paint Indiana as an undesirable destination, fixating on external factors and ignoring basic basketball logic. What they missed was simple. Players want to win, and they seek out systems that enhance their abilities. That's exactly what Indiana has created. With Caitlin Clark leading the way, Indiana's style is modern, fast-paced, and unselfish. A system designed to make life easier for every scorer, shooter, and post player. Take Natasha Howard's move, for instance. Critics speculated that her decision was driven by factors off the court, but in reality, Howard made it clear. She craves recognition, victory, and a place where she can truly thrive. Indiana delivered on all fronts. The old media narratives couldn't fathom why someone like Howard would choose Indiana, yet any true student of the game understood immediately. Playing alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is an ideal situation for a versatile forward like her. She isn't saddled with carrying the offense or forcing plays. Instead, she gets better looks and greater opportunities than she has in years. And consider DeWanna Bonner, who was heavily linked to the Fever. Initially, skeptics questioned why she'd ever opt for Indiana. But why wouldn't she? Indiana offers a team-first, up-tempo style where veteran scorers can extend their careers while remaining highly productive. With Indiana's system, Bonner wouldn't be overburdened with minutes. She'd be surrounded by youthful energy and allowed to focus on what she does best: scoring and leadership. Instead, Bonner remained in Connecticut, a team that, while still competitive, might lack the vibrant, exciting environment Indiana is building. Because here's the bottom line: Indiana is on track to be one of the most exciting teams both to watch and to play for. With Clark's visionary playmaking, Boston's commanding presence in the paint, Mitchell's scoring prowess, Cunningham's grit, and Howard's versatility, the pieces are finally coming together in a way few teams can match. And now, the WNBA is watching closely. Teams that once dismissed Indiana are now rethinking their stance, while players who previously overlooked the Fever are beginning to reconsider. If Indiana makes a deep playoff run this year, and they just might, those who passed on them are going to regret missing out. What's most striking about the Fever's roster is how seamlessly everything fits together. It's not just about possessing talent, it's about having the right kind of talent. Caitlin Clark is not a ball-dominant guard who forces poor shots. She's a cerebral playmaker who involves her teammates, ensuring that scorers like Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham get the looks they deserve. Aaliyah Boston isn't just a reliable post presence. She's an elite two-way big who can anchor the defense and dominate on the boards, freeing up her teammates to focus on their roles. Natasha Howard brings veteran savvy and impact on both ends, offering Indiana the switchability and offensive depth they need. When you combine all these elements, you get a team built to win. As the Fever gear up for their inaugural season with Clark at the helm, one question looms large in the WNBA. How soon before other teams try to replicate Indiana's blueprint? Because there's no denying it, the envy is palpable. Players and executives who once wrote off Indiana are now witnessing a transformation in real time. This isn't just about one superstar. It's about a front office that has meticulously constructed a balanced, synergistic roster, forcing everyone to take notice. For years, Indiana was a team you'd barely give a second glance. Today, however, the Fever have redefined themselves through shrewd roster moves, strategic chemistry, and a visionary approach. Some critics in the media clung to outdated perceptions, failing to grasp that players want to win and thrive in systems tailored to their strengths. And with Caitlin Clark steering the ship, Indiana's fast-paced, unselfish style isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. The signing of players like Natasha Howard, along with the buzz surrounding Bonner and Cunningham, signals a new era for the Fever. In a few short months, the Indiana Fever have transformed from an afterthought into one of the league's most coveted destinations. The pieces are finally in place, the chemistry is undeniable, and the envy from across the WNBA is unmistakable. It all comes down to one thing. Caitlin Clark has changed everything. Her arrival has not only elevated the talent on Indiana's roster, but has also created an environment where players genuinely want to be. And as the league watches this transformation unfold, it's becoming increasingly clear that Indiana isn't just back in the game, they're here to change it.
Like for real. I feel like I'm like in a little bit of a dream, but it's just super dope, super cool. I don't know if I ever seen myself on like this many billboards and pictures, so this is really good. Oh, now it's really real, huh? This is dope. Okay. I gotta get used to 2-5. This is my first time.
Something unexpected went down in Indiana, and it's shaking the WNBA to its core. No big press conferences, no spotlight, no orchestrated moments, just a quiet entrance that has the league scrambling to figure out what's next.
On the court, Bonner bangs him home. Bonner, the logo 3 at the shot clock. Now needed the scheme.
Bonner makes her career best.
Bonner hits the 3.
Bonner launches over. Sabally got the 3.
DeWanna Bonner, two-time WNBA champion, future Hall of Famer, and one of the most respected vets in the game, made her way into Indiana without a hint of drama. No waiting around. And where did she go first? Right to the gym. Her work ethic is impeccable. She is exactly the type of player that the Indiana Fever needed.
Similar to what DB said about the competitive fire you all had, the moment you had in the playoffs last year, all those things. How do you think your competitive fire can mesh with hers?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you want. You want your teammates to be just as competitive as you are. So I think training camp's going to be really fun. That's when you're competing live. You know, you're getting after things. Coaches are figuring out what lineups work, what lineups don't. So I think it's more so like the drive of pushing your teammates to get better. And I think that's exactly what she speaks to when she talks about her leadership. Like, that's going to push all of us to get better when you can see a vet like that come in here and want to get better every single day still. You know, year 12 plus, whatever they are in their career. That's inspiring. That motivates you to want to be better too, but just exciting.
But waiting for her wasn't a coach, an agent, or a front office exec. It was no other than Caitlin Clark. Clearly the main reason DeWanna joined the team, so she was excited to see her.
Thank you very much. That's what 6'5" would do for you. Pick up, rebound, Fagbenle. Futility from 3 for the Sparks. Over there, Fagbenle comes up with it. Here's Clark and Trent, leaves it behind for... There's just 1 of 5. They go threes.
Yeah, they do. Nice.
The rookie sensation, the once-in-a-generation talent, the player every team in the league has been scrambling to figure out.
South Carolina players in this game, by the way.
Sure do.
Tiffany Mitchell, Alicia Gray.
South Carolina players in this game? Tiffany Mitchell, Alicia Gray, and the big question lingering? Why? Why would a battle-tested veteran skip the usual welcome parties to hit the gym with a rookie? This wasn't just a workout. This was a message to let everyone in the league know that they are coming prepared for the new upcoming season. And if you think this is just another off-season move, brace yourself for a rude awakening. The Indiana Fever has something big planned up their sleeve. The WNBA is on the verge of a major shift, and the Indiana Fever is right in the middle of it. This season is just getting started, and you won't want to miss a single moment.
What's up, Fever fans? DB here. So happy to be here. So excited. I'll see you guys in May.
No welcome parade, no PR stunt, no fluff. DeWanna Bonner didn't come to Indiana for the media circus. She came for one thing: business. A two-time WNBA champion, a future Hall of Famer, and one of the game's most respected veterans. But instead of basking in the spotlight or making a dramatic entrance, she went straight to the gym.
I'm just happy that I can still be a part of it. I'm happy that I'm still wanted, you know, in different organizations and have the free agency that I had. And I'm coming to probably one of the best fan bases in the world right now, so I'm pretty honored to.
No cameras, no distractions, just pure focus. That's not a casual arrival. That's a message. When a player of Bonner's caliber bypasses the theatrics and heads straight to work, it's clear she's got unfinished business. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Bonner isn't stepping into Indiana as the face of the franchise. She's not here to demand the ball, dominate games, or make a statement. She's taking on a role most superstars would avoid, a supporting piece to an already budding young core.
I'm coming to probably one of the best fan bases in the world right now.
That's almost unheard of in professional basketball, where ego usually collides with team chemistry. But for Bonner, This isn't about status, it's about strategy. She sees something special in this Indiana squad, and she knows exactly how to take it to the next level.
The way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game. So it just shows a lot about their character and how hungry they are. And
her first move in a Fever uniform made one thing obvious. She's here to win, and she's not wasting a second. She's linking up with the player poised to redefine the league, Caitlin Clark. This isn't just mentorship, it's about building chemistry, trust, and ensuring Indiana isn't just competitive, but dominant.
Time and his third, currently 5 catchings for second.
Time and again, Bonner's message is simple. Clark doesn't need someone to shape her. She's already built for this moment. That's what makes this move so dangerous for the rest of the WNBA. Because if you thought Bonner was just here to mentor Clark, think again. She's here to partner up, to sharpen her, to elevate her. And if that playoff battle was any sign, these two aren't just going to coexist, they're going to dominate. Let's be real. DeWanna Bonner could have gone anywhere. Teams lined up, contenders made their pitches. She had the leverage to choose a championship-ready roster. But she chose Indiana, a team still finding its stride, a franchise that, just a couple years ago, was an afterthought in the playoff hunt. That's not just a decision, that's a statement. A player of her caliber doesn't make a move like this unless she sees something the rest of the world hasn't caught on to yet.
Or as alive, but there has been a confirmation. There has been, well, as good as a confirmation from the draft. And it's unfortunate they leaked the expansion draft, or at least leaked part of the expansion draft.
As the new franchise made its much-anticipated entrance, speculation soared about how the Valkyries would build their inaugural roster. Naturally, Caitlin Clark became a focal point in these discussions, celebrated for her exceptional scoring prowess, long-range three-point shooting, and strong leadership on the court. Caitlin has emerged as one of the brightest stars in women's basketball today. The potential addition of her talents to the Valkyries has generated tremendous buzz and anticipation among enthusiasts and analysts alike.
All right, there we go. We have our first 4 names of the reveal, and there they are. And just in case you didn't pick up on it, these names are being announced in alphabetical order from the teams of the W, so there's no ranking here in terms of who's most important. Your first thought?
In case you missed it, these selections are being announced in alphabetical order based on the teams, so there's no ranking in terms of importance. At first glance, you might assume Caitlin Clark would be among them, but when the draft results were revealed, an unexpected twist occurred. The Valkyries chose not to draft Caitlin Clark. This surprising decision left both fans and analysts stunned, igniting debates across social media platforms and sports broadcasts. The Golden State Valkyries' participation in the expansion draft marked a pivotal moment for the WNBA. It's a rare opportunity for a new team to build its roster from the ground up, and anticipation was high as fans watched to see their selections. While many anticipated bold moves, the decision to bypass Caitlin Clark, widely regarded as one of the league's brightest stars, created a wave of controversy and confusion within the basketball community.
As for the names on the back of the jerseys, we do have 4 more names that are about to be revealed in just a moment, but we do want to do a little table set of the Valkyries' notable games during what will be their inaugural season. They'll open the season in the Chase Center against the Sparks in a battle for Cali, some other marquee matchups as well. Defending champ Liberty May 27th, and they've got the Aces and Fever.
Her standout performance at Iowa made her a household name, and her seamless transition to the WNBA only heightened her impact. As a high-volume scorer and talented playmaker, she possesses the unique ability to draw crowds and secure victories. So, why did the Valkyries pass on drafting her when they had the opportunity? The reason stems from a combination of strategic planning, roster-building priorities, and the complexities of managing star talent within a newly established team. She is more than just a prolific scorer. She is a transformative player, Her knack for sinking three-pointers from seemingly unreachable distances and her exceptional court vision make her an invaluable asset. Additionally, she exemplifies leadership both on and off the court, frequently taking control during pivotal moments of the game. Any team would be fortunate to acquire her talents, or so it appears. However, constructing a new franchise goes beyond assembling star players. It involves ensuring the right fit, fostering chemistry, and implementing long-term strategies. This vision necessitated selecting players who could offer versatility and balance to their roster. Opting to draft a superstar like Caitlin Clark might have seemed like a straightforward way to make headlines, but it could have interfered with the delicate task of forming a unified and cohesive team structure. A prime example of the Valkyries' strategic selection is Temi Fagbenle. As an experienced center, Fagbenle brings defensive strength and leadership qualities that are crucial for any team seeking to establish its identity. However, her selection sparked surprise because it meant that Caitlin Clark remained with the Indiana Fever. Speculation among fans suggested that Fagbenle's departure from the Fever was closely linked to Clark's increasing influence within the team. Her on-court presence attracts media coverage, drives merchandise sales, and energizes fan communities. For the Indiana Fever, she serves as a cornerstone in their rebuilding efforts. Conversely, for the Valkyries, acquiring a player of her caliber might have introduced significant challenges. Effectively managing a star athlete requires substantial resources, both financially and in terms of team dynamics. Clark's playing style necessitates that the team's offense is centered around her. She thrives as a high-usage player who relies on having the ball in her hands. While this strategy can be effective for established teams with well-defined systems, it poses risks for a new franchise striving to find its balance. The Valkyries likely aim to prevent their entire identity from hinging on a single player, regardless of her talent. Instead, their focus was probably on assembling a more balanced roster, capable of evolving into a cohesive unit that can compete comprehensively without depending excessively on any one individual.
From the Atlanta Dream, the Golden State Valkyries select center Ileana Rupert.
Another layer to this decision is the Valkyries' emphasis on defense and versatility. Players like Fagbenle, Alana R., and Monique Billings offer flexibility across multiple positions, enabling the team to adjust to various matchups. While drafting Clark might have been tempting, it could have constrained their ability to build a well-rounded roster. Under the expansion draft rules, teams had the option to protect certain players. Unsurprisingly, the Fever chose to safeguard Caitlin Clark, effectively removing her from the Valkyries' selection pool. This move came at a price, leaving players like Fagbenle unprotected. For the Fever, this was a strategic gamble. They prioritized securing their star player, understanding that losing other valuable role players might be an unavoidable consequence. Protecting Clark underscores her significance to the Fever's future. She's not merely a player, but the cornerstone of their franchise. Losing her would have severely hampered their rebuilding efforts. Nevertheless, some fans believe that leaving Fagbenle unprotected was a misstep, as she is a dependable contributor who brings both experience and grit to the team. By passing on high-profile players like Caitlin Clark, they signaled their commitment to constructing a team based on depth, teamwork, and strategic foresight. This method may not create immediate headlines, but it lays the groundwork for long-term success. Naturally, not everyone concurs with this strategy. Critics argue that the Valkyries forfeited an opportunity to secure a generational talent. Caitlin Clark's ability to attract fans and elevate her teammates makes her a rare asset in the WNBA. Opting out of drafting her could be viewed as a risky move, especially for a new team aiming to establish itself in a competitive environment. However, there's a valid argument supporting the Valkyries' choice. Building a successful franchise requires time and meticulous planning. While star players like Caitlin Clark can transform a team, they also introduce complexities both on and off the court. For the Valkyries, the expansion draft was about more than just acquiring talent. It was about establishing a foundation for a team capable of competing at the highest levels. As the Valkyries gear up for their inaugural season, all eyes will be on their roster decisions. Will their strategic approach yield positive results? Or will they rue the decision to pass on players like Caitlin Clark? The outcome may not be immediate, but one thing is clear: this decision will be closely examined. Understanding the Valkyries' choice to forgo Caitlin Clark requires looking at the broader context. How will this impact the future of the Valkyries and Caitlin Clark's role with the Indiana Fever? Launching a new franchise carries the inherent pressure to make a significant impact quickly. Acquiring a player like Caitlin Clark would undoubtedly generate headlines and draw fans to the arena. However, a franchise's success isn't solely determined by hype. It's about winning games and cultivating a sustainable culture. The Valkyries appear to have prioritized balance over star power. A key aspect of this decision revolves around Caitlin Clark's compatibility with a new system. Clark is renowned for her dynamic, high-energy playing style. She's a high-usage player who excels in systems designed to highlight her individual talents. However, for a nascent team like the Valkyries, selecting a player of Clark's magnitude could result in a lopsided roster. The team might feel compelled to build entirely around her, potentially compromising depth and versatility. Historically, teams that secure elite talent early on often set themselves up for sustained success. Clark's ability to draw double teams, stretch defenses, and control the game's tempo makes her a generational talent. By passing on her, the Valkyries are essentially betting on their ability to discover comparable talent in the future, a gamble that may or may not pay off.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Last season, Caitlin Clark faced cheap shots, constant hacking, and defenders who thought they could muscle their way into shutting her down. Well, guess what? That chapter is officially closed. The Indiana Fever have loaded up with not one, not two, but 3 enforcers who won't stand for any of that nonsense anymore.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, like, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer.
Enter Howard, Cunningham, and Bonner, veterans with attitude. If critics think they can bully Clark, they'll have to get past them first.
The closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark, was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley.
This move isn't just about talent, it's a statement. The Fever aren't here to compete. They're here to dominate. With these new additions, they've built a squad that plays fast, tough, and, most importantly, protects Clark. Her bullies on notice? So how will these 3 transform the Fever into a WNBA powerhouse?
Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer type players.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's most electrifying rookie, steps onto the court for her debut. Fans are buzzing, expecting a show. Instead, hard fouls, excessive contact, and physicality that seemed aimed at taking her down. What's going on here?
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
Clark wasn't just a rookie. She was targeted, with 17% of all flagrant fouls last season against her, proving defenders weren't just playing defense, they were trying to take her down.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It looks like a soap opera.
And leading the charge? The Chicago Sky. A shocking 80% of those flagrant fouls came from one team. That's no coincidence. It's a statement. They weren't just defending, they were sending a message. Was it intimidation, frustration, or just a desperate attempt to slow a rising star? Whatever the reason, Clark's presence clearly made them uncomfortable. Clark drives, Reese floors her, silence. Was it too much? Commentators wondered, but Clark shook it off and kept playing.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
That's what makes Clark special, her composure. After a cheap shot from Kennedy Carter, she simply said, "That's not a basketball play, but gotta play through it." No complaints, no retaliation, just pure mental toughness.
And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Clark proved she could take the hits, but the Fever knew she needed protection. So they made moves, big ones. With some serious enforcers now on the roster, no one's bullying Clark anymore. Who are they? And how will they change the Fever's dynamic?
The signing of Natasha Howard represents a massive step forward for the Indiana Fever and their quest for a championship. In Howard, the Fever gain a 3-time WNBA champion, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and a veteran with more than 300 games played.
Natasha Howard isn't just an addition, she's the enforcer the Fever needed. From day one, the message was clear. Clark's no longer an easy target. A 3-time champ, former Defensive Player of the Year, Howard's toughness will end the days of Clark getting bullied.
But all of that, and we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons. And that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense.
Last season, Clark faced nonstop physicality, but now defenders will think twice. Howard alone shifts the power dynamic. She commands respect next to Clark, and with her elite stats, 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and a 3-point threat, she'll create more space for Clark, Mitchell, and Boston.
Last season, with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game. And the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year, short and elite. A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Napheesa Collier, Brittney Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard.
Howard's defense is where she truly dominates. A former Defensive Player of the Year, she's a nightmare in the paint.
But that wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs too. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history.
Howard's ready to elevate Clark in the Fever, bringing her experience and toughness to help them dominate, not just fight back.
Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham is heading to Indiana, making the WNBA even more exciting. If Clark needed someone to keep the bullies in check and hit threes, she's got her.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Some might ask, Cunningham? Wasn't she bringing Clark to Phoenix? Clark had other plans, ensuring Cunningham joined her in Indiana.
Sophie Cunningham, in general, is just wild. Wild is the best word I can use to describe Sophie Cunningham. And it's carnage. It's carnage a lot of the time when Sophie Cunningham gets involved with anything. The amount of fights that Sophie Cunningham has been involved in is mental.
Cunningham is a perfect fit for Indiana. She's not just tough, she's an elite shooter, hitting 37.8% from deep last season. With Clark running the offense, that number will rise.
She hits a three, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her, and then tries to step over, and then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are gonna go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She's scared the bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen is one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head to head straight with her.
Cunningham brings more than shooting. She's got an edge. She plays through contact, talks trash, and backs it up. Plus, she's a Taekwondo black belt.
Like Sophie Cunningham, there are so many things where it's like part of it her fault, part of it not her fault, but she will not back down. She will not back down under any circumstances from anything. And that is what the Indiana Fever need. If somebody hits Caitlin Clark, if somebody does what Victoria Vivians did to Caitlin Clark, it's not going to be Caitlin Clark that's getting involved to be teed up. Sophie Cunningham's in there. You take the technical foul. You take it.
Cunningham adds versatility to the Fever's lineup as a wing who can shoot, defend, and provide leadership, averaging 8.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 2.0 assists last season.
Like Sophie Cunningham is guarding the screen here, and she just takes a hard hit, not like nothing major. So she's down, and then after taking a hard hit, just gets back up and laughs. Gets back up and laughs a bit.
Cunningham thrives in high-pressure moments, bringing toughness, experience, and fearlessness. Whether it's hitting a clutch three, locking down a guard, or stepping up when things get chippy.
She takes the hard hit and goes down, obviously, gets back up and just laughs. Like that's a legitimate thing where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a person who is just, like, there is a toughness there with Sophie Cunningham. And like, she's not scared.
Cunningham's presence ensures defenses can't collapse on Clark and Boston, as her perimeter shooting ability forces teams to think twice about doubling Clark, making the Fever's offense even more dangerous.
So yeah, like, a solid signing for what she does on the floor. But like, be protecting Caitlin Clark type thing.
The big question is how Cunningham's aggressive style will mesh with Clark's finesse. But one thing's for sure, Indiana just got a lot tougher, and the rest of the WNBA better take notice.
She's just a smart player. You already see what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge. And I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge for her to understand this league a little bit better. And like I said, when playoffs hit, she'll be ready.
DeWanna Bonner isn't just joining the Fever. She's here to reshape their culture and bring championship experience, making it clear Indiana is ready to win now.
Our first game in Indiana, we gotta get a win.
Bonner's addition turns the Fever from an exciting young team into a championship contender, adding elite defense, clutch scoring, and floor spacing alongside Boston, Clark, Mitchell, and Cunningham.
What excites you the most about this team that you're going to be joining?
I mean, they have dynamic pieces in CC and Kelsey Mitchell and AB, Lexi Hall. I mean, they have a great core, so why not just add to that and try to, take us to the next level in the playoffs. They were in first round, and I played against them in the first round, and the way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game.
Bonner's not just a skilled player. She's a true leader, elevating Clark, Boston, and Mitchell by studying their game and maximizing their strengths.
Like I said, hopefully I can make her job a little easier and she can make mine a little easier. But I think she's a great person, and we, been kind of connecting here. We had a great workout this morning, and it was fun. She's a fun kid.
Bonner sees something special in Clark's competitive fire and is ready to guide her towards superstardom, using her experience to push Clark to new heights.
Kind of went on this crazy run, and they were the most well-gelled team at that time. They went from the bottom straight, and they just kept trending. And it was like one of those teams you're like, man, you don't want to really see them in the playoffs. So we got the matchup, and I think our experience helped us very well. But that second game, they came out, and it was like, they just kind of went on this trajectory that was just like on the rise, and it was literally Fever on the rise during right after All-Star. So that's exciting. That's exciting for me to see, and that kind of helped me with my my decision.
Last season, the Fever lacked experience, but Bonner brings postseason know-how, leadership, and the ability to close games, all while elevating Clark to new heights.
That experience to a young, maturing team, what can you provide?
I'm hoping that I can provide a little bit of leadership, but I feel like they're a team that last year helped them a lot and understand the dynamics of playoffs. It's a whole different ball game when playoffs come, and I feel like they're a young team, but they're a good team, and hopefully I can just provide the knowledge and explain playoffs to them a little bit better so we can be better prepared and don't get punched in the face the first game. And it's hard to come back when you do that the first game. It's hard to come back and try to win 2 straight against a veteran team. So I think they got it.
What does Bonner's arrival mean for Indiana? Everything. Her playoff experience and championship mindset are the missing pieces for a team on the rise. This isn't just a veteran signing. It's a statement that the Fever are done waiting. The future is now. With Bonner, Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, this team isn't just fun to watch, it's a contender. Are you ready for the Indiana Fever show? It's coming fast.
Caitlin Clark, she declined an invitation to participate in a special challenge during NBA All-Star Weekend next month. That's what Shams reported on Wednesday. Now, Clark's representatives, they expressed her desire to have her first three-point contest be at the WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis this summer. Shanae, I'm not mad at it. What do you make of this decision?
Look, I not only respect it, I absolutely wholeheartedly support.
Well, it's official, you guys. Caitlin Clark is not competing in the three-point contest at NBA All-Star.
What happens when the biggest star in women's basketball says no to the NBA? Caitlin Clark, a record-breaking force and trailblazer on the court, just did exactly that. In a move that's sparking controversy and shaking up sports media, Clark turned down an invitation to join the NBA's three-point contest at All-Star Weekend. Rather than stepping into the spotlight as the NBA's special attraction, she's making a bold statement about where true recognition belongs. Stay tuned as we dive into how this decision is flipping the script and what it means for the future of the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark knows how to use the word that many people struggle all their lives being able to use. Some of us never get it till we're old and just don't care no more. The word, take a guess. Take a guess.
Controversy, debate, and, of course, ESPN's outrage. Caitlin Clark, the beacon of the WNBA's future, has just declined an invitation to participate in the NBA's three-point contest at All-Star Weekend.
Well, it has just been confirmed from Shams that Caitlin Clark will not be competing in the NBA three-point contest. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark will not participate in the NBA All-Star Special three-point shootout in San Francisco and wants her first three-point contest to be at WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis this summer. Her representatives at Excel Sports.
Rather than celebrating her choice, the sports media exploded into chaos. Some argue she's simply dodging the competition, while others believe she's boldly championing the WNBA. So what's the true story behind her decision, and why is ESPN so incensed? Stick around because we're unpacking every detail right now. All right, let's jump in. The Caitlin Clark saga has been dominating headlines nonstop. In case you haven't caught wind of it, Caitlin Clark, the undeniable superstar of women's basketball, recently declined an invitation to compete in the NBA's three-point contest during this year's All-Star Weekend. And wow, opinions are flying everywhere. From ESPN to NBA fans and WNBA supporters, everyone is weighing in as the debate continues to heat up.
The momentum that Caitlin Clark has this season, with her being close to being the face of basketball, both men's and women's this year, I just thought it was the perfect stage. And then obviously, you know, the possibility of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson teaming up once again back in Golden State and doing that home reunion thing, and then having Sabrina and Caitlin. To me, it just sounded like so much fun, and it would definitely bring a little spark to NBA All-Star that NBA All-Star unfortunately hasn't.
Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is the biggest name in women's basketball right now. She's more than just a player, she's a phenomenon. every time she steps onto the court, she shatters records, fills arenas, and pulls in huge TV audiences. So when she decided to pass on the NBA's invitation, it wasn't just a scheduling conflict, it was a powerful statement, one that clearly caught ESPN and many sports analysts off guard. So what prompted her to make this call? Is she intimidated by the competition? Did she miscalculate? Or is she strategically setting the stage for the future, making a power move that still has many scratching their heads?
Is another testament to where she is in the hierarchy of the sports food chain and, the ladder of power and influence. Because Caitlin Clark is Steph Curry and LeBron James. Like, she's, there's no difference. A great philosopher once said there's levels to this. She's on that.
Here's the reality about Caitlin Clark. She knows exactly what she's worth. She's not just some player thrilled to get an invite to a high-profile event. She understands that wherever she goes, the cameras roll, the money flows, and the fans rally. So when the opportunity to participate in an NBA event came along, she didn't jump at it like a rookie trying to prove herself. Instead, she made it clear, "Thanks, but I'll pass. I'll host my first three-point contest on my own terms, in my own league."
You see Caitlin Clark using her power to benefit the WNBA, saying, not that she'd never do anything with the NBA, but that she's not going to do it this time because the first time should be with the WNBA in front of the Fever fans.
And that's exactly what's setting off a firestorm of reactions. For years, women's basketball players have been fighting tooth and nail for recognition, respect, and financial support. The WNBA has long been cast in the shadow of the NBA, and whenever a female athlete earns a smidgen of mainstream acclaim, there's this lingering expectation that she should be grateful for even the smallest scraps of attention from the men's league. But Caitlin Clark isn't subscribing to that narrative, she's rewriting it. She made it abundantly clear that she wants her inaugural three-point contest to take place at the WNBA All-Star Game, right in front of her hometown fans in Indiana. And let's be real, that's a savvy move. Why settle for being the NBA's special guest when she can be the headliner of her own show? Why help prop up the NBA's All-Star Weekend ratings when she can shine the spotlight on the WNBA instead? Of course, not everyone is on board with her decision. The moment she turned down the offer, sports analysts went into overdrive. ESPN pundits began to debate whether she was making a grave error, questioning her judgment, while the usual skeptics claimed she was merely dodging competition. Dodging competition? Come on. Caitlin Clark has never shied away from a challenge. She's been demolishing defenses and shattering records her entire career. If she really wanted to join the NBA's three-point contest, she'd be more than capable of holding her own. But that's precisely the point. She refused because she knows her worth, and she refuses to let others call the shots for her. Stephen A. Smith, as per usual, had a lot to say on the matter. For once, he actually backed Clark's decision, though not without throwing in some of his trademark commentary. He noted that last year's WNBA All-Star Game smashed records by drawing in 3.4 million viewers, while the NBA's All-Star Game struggled to hit numbers anywhere near its former glory. The NBA's All-Star Weekend has been losing its luster, no secret there, and it's obvious they were banking on Caitlin Clark to give them a ratings boost. Let's break that down for a moment. The NBA isn't exactly at its prime during All-Star Weekend. The dunk contest has lost its charm, and even the All-Star Game itself is treated more like a casual exhibition than a true contest. Viewership has been on a steady decline, and the overall energy just isn't what it used to be. So when Caitlin Clark enters the picture, a player who's been single-handedly driving TV ratings through the roof and filling arenas, it's clear the NBA saw a golden opportunity. And frankly, from their standpoint, it made total sense. Imagine the buzz. Caitlin Clark going head-to-head with the NBA's best in a three-point contest. The intrigue alone would pull in millions of viewers, but that's exactly why she declined. She recognized that she was being positioned merely as a ratings tool, and she wasn't about to let that happen. Let's not kid ourselves. If she had accepted, the aftermath would have been just as contentious, albeit for different reasons. A win might have been dismissed as merely a shooting contest, not genuine competition. A loss would have fueled claims that the WNBA just can't compare to the NBA. There was no scenario in which she could emerge unscathed in that setup. Instead, she delivered a bold message. The WNBA matters. She's not a novelty act or a side attraction for the NBA's All-Star Weekend. She's the star of her own league. This move might just be one of the most significant power plays we've seen from a women's basketball player in a long time. It's not about avoiding one contest. It's about transforming the narrative around the WNBA. For too long, critics have argued that women's sports depend on the men's leagues to survive, that without the NBA's support, the WNBA couldn't flourish. But Caitlin Clark is proving that theory wrong. She's driving ticket sales, setting new records, and making women's basketball a must-watch spectacle all on its own. Consider this. Just last year, the WNBA saw a surge in both viewership and merchandise sales. The Indiana Fever, the team Clark plays for, accounted for nearly half of the league's entire broadcast value. Half. That's a staggering figure, and it's all thanks to her influence. She's demonstrating that the WNBA doesn't need to rely on the NBA's leftovers to thrive. It can stand tall with its own stars, its own storylines, and its own dedicated fan base. That's why this decision is so monumental. She's setting a new standard. She's telling the next generation of female athletes, you don't have to latch onto the men's league for validation. You can be the main event in your own right, and the impact is already evident. What began as a decision over a three-point contest has blossomed into a full-blown conversation about the future of women's basketball. That's the magnitude of her influence. So yes, ESPN might be seething, the NBA might feel let down, and some fans might be left scratching their heads. But Caitlin Clark is in complete control of her narrative. She's playing the long game, building something far bigger than a single contest. And honestly, you have to respect that.